Okay, cool. 1973's The Satanic Rites of Dracula. This is a heavy movie for 1973. Right from the get go, you look at the poster and that ominous title and you think, oh, this has gotta be heavy. Okay, I couldn't help but doing a bad impression of the fantastic Martin Popoff, who I've been listening to a lot lately, and in some ways, his enthusiastic cataloguing of LPs and discographies was an inspiration for FOTD, now that I think about it. And speaking of Canadians, rest in peace Norm Macdonald, one of the few comedians to have made me laugh. Yeah, I just spoke over a series of screen caps, or still am speaking over, I believe, depicting a really jarring opening credits. This gradual zoom in of a statue is imposed onto the opening credits of this film, a series of recognisably London landmarks. I don't know if the screen caps do it justice, but this feels really awkward and lazy, and the kind of thing I would kick myself over had I been responsible. I mean, why? What is the point of this? What is the affect of this? Anyway, Alan Gibson directs The Satanic Rites of Dracula, the final entry in the Hammer Dracula saga. Like the previous entry, Dracula AD 1972, also directed by Alan Gibson, Dracula is transported into the contemporary world. Now, as per usual, this film's continuity with prior entries is non-existent. It's best to think of this one as an alternative depiction of the contemporary, early 1970s for posterity, arrival and sinister hunger of Christopher Lee's Dracula. And here's Peter Cushing as a Van Helsing descendant to extinguish this evil presence. My screen caps are going to spoil this film up and down. I go mad during the climax, and so be prepared for that. Alan Gibson had established himself as a superb horror director, delivering both Crescendo and Goodbye Gemini in 1970. Say what you will about the screenplays, but they aren't at all terrible to my memory. Gibson had a very visceral flair, mimicking the best traits of Terence Fisher, Freddie Francis and John Gilling to craft extremely appetizing hammer meals, or to use the less wholesome liquor metaphor/pun, you get hammered. Hilarious. And of course Alan Gibson then helmed at Dracula AD 1972, which stands today as one of the more liked of the Hammer Dracula run due to its infectious grooviness. And then behold The Satanic Rites of Dracula. I was under the impression that this was considered the weaker of the Hammer Dracula succession. Certainly this one in 1970, Scars of Dracula, previously discussed for this program, seemed to have the least offenders to their name. The tepid opening credits visual didn't have me overwhelmingly excited either, obviously. But holy hell! A film about a satanic conspiracy spearheaded by Christopher Lee's Count Dracula to tempt members of high society, politicians, scientists, the like, with the insatiable lull of power. MI5 has caught wind of the conspiracy and collaborates with Scotland Yard in order to investigate these sinister forces. An occult expert named Lorimer Helsing is called in to assist the case, this of course being Peter Cushing portraying a descendant of the original Van Helsing. This film is awesome. I consider it one of the more entertaining, riveting of the Hammer Dracula gang. Some of the aesthetics are quite considered, seemingly more so than in Scars of Dracula, for example, and its narrative is incredibly unique and fairly ambitious for what it is. It's a really neat genre film as far as I'm concerned. Had a great time watching it. Hey, check out the bizarre sequence of the thorny bush. This scene kind of baffles me, but I love looking at it. The geography is so unusual in this scene, if not non-existent. Helsing is on the other side of a prickly leafless bush, which Dracula seemingly doesn't see, or brashly does notice, and charges. He is caught in the bush, and it seems to act like quicksand or a sarlacc pit of some kind. I'm not sure what the logic of this sequence is. I literally took a screenshot of pretty much every shot of Dracula during the sequence, so I'm not making it much less coherent by eliminating the motion of the frames. Over the subsequent credits plays a really odd funky tempo led by rhythm guitar enthusiasm, accompanied by a slightly gothic and cliche horror string section. Talk about tonally distracting. But hey, it's just silly, entertaining horror juice. I'll endorse this one, hell yeah. I've never explored the remainder of Alan Gibson's filmography. Take a gaze, you'll see why there's no need. But at one time the man was clearly quite talented. Not the most original film director who ever lived, but one of the most efficient graspers of an established formula. He really injects a dynamism into his 4 Hammer films, which ensures they're being among the better of them, in my opinion. So that's today's film. Thanks again, friends. Quick postscript actually, Goodbye Gemini is not a Hammer production, although the other 3 Alan Gibson films that we've discussed here, of course, are.